Hi everyone, let's talk about Cooper Island, which I just did a full playthrough for. The link to that will be in the description and you can go and check that out. That'll give you a better idea than anything I'm saying. So Cooper Island, the epitome of a Euro game, or the epitome of an expert game, actually what it says, and it does some really cool, quite Euro-y things. The building up of the island, it represents the cultivation of this island that we are discovering and settling. I really like that, how we are progressively building up these stacks of tiles, and the way that resource management is used in the game. You are quite limited with resource space. There's some ways you can unlock more things, but most of your resources will be out there on the land, and however high the stack is, if you have a mountain that is 5 high and you have a stone on it, that means that that's 5 stone. And even if you have the space in your storage to put it in there, you are losing loads of it because it just becomes a single cube when it goes into your storage. So you are always having to keep on top of how your resource management is going, because you can get it in a lot of different ways as well. The game is, more towards the end of it, you build up gradually these combos throughout delivering to the cards at the top and getting crates and the various abilities they can give you. The anytime actions, especially the cartographer actions, the special abilities that the small and large buildings can give you, and more opportunity to reset those if you can build a fortress. There's so many different ways that it can go just from a few of those things with them all on top of each other. There's loads and loads of options. I really like how the mast point, basically moving your ship around, is essentially a scoreboard. That's it's a point every time you move your ship around, but the way that is handled by giving you kind of bonuses every time you reach those anchor spaces, and having to pay other players when you go through their ports as well. That's a really nice touch. But as well, that you are building up at the very start of the game, you're building up these powers that you will get as your ship passes them. Extra coins and resources and things, and the ability to put more tiles out or draw another tile. That's all fantastic. But then later on, you are giving other players those abilities, and hopefully they've set them up nicely for you as well, because you can go and get their abilities as you go around as well. So what essentially is a scoreboard, it's great to have it being so kind of interactive and integral to the game and what you are discovering as you go along as well. Really, really like that part of it. And so it's kind of like the combos. You're getting all of these things together, and throughout your income getting ships out. You won't do all of these things in a game, but you can get a load of income ships out and get loads of options at the start of your round. You can get a load of statues out so that you'll get loads of mast points at the end of every round. There are so many kind of opportunities, and you are gently nudged in these directions. We do start out with the same islet tiles and income ships, the same kind of possibilities, but depending on what powers you do get from these buildings and things like that, it does nudge you in certain directions. But a lot is kind of up to you and open. And there are scoring cards that, as you upgrade your workers, you can unlock and give you a bit of a long-term target through them as well. But even getting more workers is interesting, because you have the choice of normally worker placement. I just want more workers. But here you have the choice to not improve your number of workers, but get a specialized worker instead, which is good for not only being able to place it in a different spot, because there you're going to get a special bonus every time you take that action, but as well, it's not a worker placement game in that when somebody places a worker, that space is blocked off for the rest of the round. Anyone can still go there, but they need to pay the player underneath their disc a resource, any resource they like. And also, you can choose not to pay the resource and take a penalty. You put an anchor tile under your ship, and that means the next time that ship would move, you have to take the anchor tile out instead. A negative point, essentially. So on top of that, the specialized worker has its, special extra oomph when you place on the special square action spaces. But that also gives you a little bit extra as well, that unless there are a lot of specialized workers floating about, you are probably... You've got a lot more freedom to be the only person placing on that space, and so you wouldn't have to take a penalty at all. So there's that extra part of it as well. I think there's so much that I like about the game, and that's why I think that I'll admit that with pretty much all of the games that I've covered, we've only played a few times. I think this is one that's really going to reward, it being a game that you love and want to invest in and discover all these little intricacies and these strategies that you can start off with. I'm not saying that there's going to be a particular way of going. I think the game is very variable just as it comes. But yeah, just knowing what you are doing, knowing the value of your actions, I don't think that is as apparent in Cooper Island. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's it wants you to work for that knowledge. But yeah, there isn't so much of a sense that you do feel like you're doing something when all of these combos go off, but a lot of the time that isn't happening. And when, just in general, it doesn't seem quite as apparent that, I've done this thing now, or all of this stuff has gone off. Has that got me anything there? And there is, you've got your ships. That is, as close to a scoreboard as you've got. There is always that you can rely on. But, the points can come from such a variety of ways on top of that. And, yeah, I think that for Rach in particular, she likes more direction in the games. And I think it does give you some. It gives you some nudges. But, yeah, I think Rach, it was a problem with the kind of lack of knowing knowing if you were doing well until the very end, and maybe that's it's a little more. It's not like a sandbox game, but yeah, it wants you to just try something and then carry on with it and see where it gets you. And yeah, I think that held it up a little bit for Rage. And yeah, I really really admire a lot about it, but there's something that's I just haven't got that kind of amazing effusive love for it that I was expecting to have throughout the first game of it. But yeah, that's it. I think there's a lot to like about Cooper Island, but yeah, it just hasn't really ignited that essential spark for me, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully the playthrough will help you decide whether or not it'll do that for you, rather than anything that I think. Thank you for watching though. If you'd like to see another playthrough, there's hundreds about on this channel. Hopefully you'll find another one that you'll enjoy. Bye everyone.